Alright, so it's what is it? I think it's 8:30 or 8:40 or something in the evening. Sun's going down. By myself. Got deep dark timber right behind the camera here, all in front of me. You can see the view behind me. And I am middle of Vancouver Island, heading towards West Coast again. I've been snooping around up on top of a few mountains and stuff, and I was driving through a road just now, just trying to picture it, like you're just trying to picture experiencing this mind speak thing. And it's just something is so hard to wrap your noodle around it. You know what I mean? So I'm by myself out here. I've been out by myself around the wilds of British Columbia, the Yukon. I've been all over the place. By myself a lot. Middle of nowhere. And I've never ever heard any kind of voice in my head except for mine. But you can't ignore the tens of thousands of people who have had this experience, had that experience. But it's just so hard to imagine it and try to picture what your reaction would be like. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to picture right now. Here I am. I'm here. I'm out here. Here I am. And to try to picture just minding your own business, and all of a sudden some kind of a voice enters your mind and says, turn around and get the hell out of here, you're gonna die. Do you know what I mean? There's so many things that are so hard to wrap your brain around. But if you open up your mind and open it up to possibilities and make sure that you listen to your fellow people, then you can't deny it. Do I really want to experience that? I think I'm curious to experience it, but do I need to offer myself up, experience it, and then have it happen non-stop everywhere I go? Is that a possibility? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Do I need that in my life? Not really. I don't think I do. Anyways, I thought I'd just share that thought with everyone. There's tens of thousands of people watching these videos daily. You got to imagine. Do you guys ever picture it? You know, there's a lot of people here that are looking for answers. A lot of people here looking for validation. A lot of people that are here looking for proof. A few people here probably just for entertainment. But I mean, it's absolutely peaceful here. It's silent. It's calm. It's serene. There's elk. I've seen a bear about 5 minutes ago. There's elk here. There's deer. There's bears. It's just such a tough thing to try to envision, to wrap your brain around. You know what I mean? A voice coming into your head and speaking to you while you're out here. Such a bizarre thing. Life is bizarre, really, right? Life is bizarre. Anyway, so I thought I'd share that thought as I was trucking along, moving along. Anyway, there you go. Quick thought that I thought I'd share with the world is the fact that there's so many people experiencing so many bizarre things. Things that I'm somewhat curious of. Do I want to experience? I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. I guess I do in a way, but I'd be wanting to have a conversation, right? If somebody was going to talk rude in between my ears, I'd probably talk rude right back. So many mysteries in life, isn't there? So many. There we go. I still got about an hour to go. What do I got? Of daylight, seeing light left? I probably got, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour. I'm going to carry on. I'll be back to share more with everybody shortly. Alright, well, where am I? I'm on the side of a mountain above the Klanawa River in Vancouver Island. It's K-L-A, Klanawa. And where Sarah and I took the dog hiking in that big timber along the river with the retrieving those cameras is about 5 miles upriver. I'm facing south right now. There's an old road right below me, a swamp on either side of it. Lots of juicy stuff, and there's a monster, gargantuan old bear running around here is the word. Now, we've got some voices to be heard. Let's see what we got. Good evening, Steve. Please not use my name, just call me Seth. This encounter took place on Fort Carson gunnery range the fall of '91. I grew up an Air Force brat, had been just about everywhere. I joined the Army out of high school, and I have my own proud carrier to hang my hat on. That being said, it has taken me many, many years to have the guts to share this story. I've been haunted ever since. It still makes me shake to the core reliving that night. We got some thermal winds ripping up. Hopefully you're not hammering the camera too bad. In the fall of '91, our squadron was out in the field preparing for the qualification of the M1 tank and Bradley fighting vehicle crews. We called this gunnery. Downrange Fort Carson is scrub brush and untouched landscape with a view of the Rocky Mountain front range that is simply beautiful. Towards the end of qualification, it was about 1:30 a.m. and the tank and Bradley crews were preparing to road march back to camp. The road back to camp was a well-groomed dirt road with very deep ditches on either side due to the heavy rainfall in the monsoon season. Our team was back in the barracks awaiting the crews as we were to go to them if their vehicles had an issue or breaks down. Nearly everyone in the barracks was laying on their cots, either sleeping or playing bones by the stove as it was a chilly night. The head NCO was playing bones and listening to the radio traffic. He shouted out, "They're on their way back in." People started to stir and move around, trying to wake up just in case they needed us. I was laying on the end of my cot with my feet on the floor. I had my beanie pulled down over my face to block the light. I was fully awake. The radio was directly across from me. Suddenly over the radio, our CO gave orders to start the road march back to camp. The radio crackled, and conversations began to take place. The first crews to road march back out were the Bradley fighting vehicle teams. First, Bradley had a ground guide out front. Everyone was wearing night vision goggles, and they were using blackout lights to guide their way. Without warning, one of the drivers shouted, "Hey, what the hell is that?" Another voice came over the radio, "I don't know." Another voice, "We need to stop, we need to stop." The CO came over the radio and shouted, "What the F's going on up there?" Another voice, "Sir, we need to stop." Just then, I recognized our XO telling the CO, "We need to stop the convoy now, sir." Meanwhile, at the same time, everyone back in the barracks was now standing next to the radio and listening to what was going on, staring at each other with amazement. The CO gave the order to the lead Bradley to come to a full stop and to halt the convoy. Keep in mind, while all this was taking place, the 1st and 2nd Bradley crews was staring at a bipedal dark figure standing on the road looking over his shoulder at them at about 50 feet away. I mentioned the deep ditches as it was said by several crew members that this being stepped out of the ditch with ease and began to walk in the middle of the road in front of the convoy. Keep in mind that 16 903 cubic inch Cummins diesel V8s idling in near pitch blackness is not a snowflake falling to the ground. They are loud and gnarly. This being had no care in the world that the crews or the vehicles were there. It was just standing there. By the time the CO got to the front of the convoy to see what was going on, he had a hell of a mess on his hands. The radio chatter exploded into yells and F-bombs, people telling the ground guide to run and jump up on the top of the turret for safety. The XO shouting to everyone over the radio to calm down and get their shit together. The first ground guide stated that in his night vision goggles, when this being stepped out of the ditch and onto the road, the being's eyes were glowing like green fire, and standing before him was like having an out-of-body experience. Many of the crew had no idea what was going on up front. They could not really get a good look, but the first 3 Bradleys got to see everything. All crews heard everything. In the third Bradley was the XO. He was a former state trooper, solid no BS kind of guy who was standing through the turret hatch. He saw everything. As the CO was making his way up the road to the front of the convoy, the being turned and calmly walked to the other side of the road and disappeared into the ditch. The CO was met by the XO and the ground guide and told of what happened. You could hear the conversation going back and forth through the ground guide's mic. Tensions were high. Soon the convoy was underway again. About 30 minutes later, the door burst open in our barracks, and the crews started pouring in. They were excited and shouting to us. Did you hear what happened? The first ground guide was pushed to the front of the crowd and was asked to tell us what had happened in an army kind of way, if you know what I mean. Suddenly the CO came through the door. Someone yelled, "Attention." He made his way through the crowd to the center of the room and stated, "You didn't see anything, none of this happened, and if I hear of any chatter about it tonight, you will answer to me. Do you understand?" Everyone yelled, "Yes, sir." The next morning we were all spent from the night before. No one got any sleep, and to make things worse, in came the Blackhawks and men in suits with the base commander. They spoke to certain people, and the incident was soon put behind us. The most common thread amongst the eyewitnesses was that the Sasquatch seemed to not really care about the chaos on the road that night. It never ran or seemed to be scared. The way it stood there and stared at them, eyes glowing, is what freaked everyone out. No doubt. One of my employees is First Nations Navajo. He calls Bigfoot the Yanni. He started talking about spirits one day and what it means when a feather is in your path on the ground. What type of bird feather means something about your life. The conversation turned to the Yanni. He stated that they were evil and to be feared. They were of unclean spirit and of the dark world. He said to stay away from them at all costs. In closing, I've only told a handful of people the story, Steve. I live in the southern Rocky Mountains and rarely hike alone just for this reason. Please accept my condolences on the passing of Mr. Macaroni. It's hard to lose such a trusted friend. It's a shame that they're only on this earth for just a short time. I thank Scott Carpenter for sending me your way. I've been watching him for about 10 years now. I've been watching you for a while now, too, and I trust your non-judgmental, no bullshit approach. Be safe out there. Much respect and Godspeed, Seth. And same to you, Seth. And I know I read this before, and I don't care. I read it again. And I hope that possibly one of those men who had that experience is possibly here watching and listening and may get knee-jerked into sharing their version of what happened. I'd love to hear from them. It's obvious something's going on, something a lot bigger than just these stories being shared on YouTube's going on when it comes to these beings and somebody, some group of people who are in the absolute no. Why is it so important to not confirm what's going on to the general public? Why? Why is it so important? What's going on? Why so insistent of deny, lie? Why? Right? Right, you guys? Why? Why? We're all human beings. We're all equal. We're all one. No one deserves to know and have possessed more knowledge during this lifetime than another man or woman. I believe. No way. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Now, is that camera still recording? matter of time. There's going to be a bear on that road below me. It's only a matter of time. Excuse me. Alright, what do we got here? It's titled Scary Encounter and Continuous Encounters. Dear Steve, I've been following your channel for a couple years now, and I want you to know you're a great man and you're a true gentleman. You don't know how much appreciated you truly are. Appreciate the kind words. My name is Jesse Paul. Feel free to use my name. I'm 35 years old and I've been a hunter and fisherman my whole life. Back in 2016, me and my wife purchased a home in Hillsboro, Montana, MO I think, or Missouri. MO is Missouri, right? Anyway, I grew up just down the road and the house is on private lake, kind of secluded, so me and my son thought it was a piece of heaven because he also loves the outdoors, shooting, fishing, and riding dirt bikes. Not long after we moved in, we discovered that the lake has a leak in the dam and drains down to less than half its usual size. It's quite a bummer, but whenever we get heavy rains, it stays up and we enjoy it as much as we can. We live on a private street with only 8 other houses, but they're spaced apart quite a bit, so everybody has about an acre of their own land, and due to the lake shrinking up over the years, we're the only house that has a clear view and good access to the lake. We have woods on all sides of us, so we have the privacy I've always wanted. In 2018, I put up a hammock in our yard because I've always wanted one. There's nothing better than lounging outside, and I hope that wind's not killing the microphone. The thermals are really starting to cook up. In 2018, I put up a hammock in our yard because I've always wanted one. There's nothing better than lounging outside on summer nights, especially after a long, hard day at work. Like I said, I've always loved the outdoors, and I've never been bothered by any wildlife around here because bears are rare around here, so I didn't think there was too much to worry about. So I thought. I've always believed in these creatures 100%. I just never thought in a million years they would be anywhere close to here. Said everybody. One summer night in August of 2018, I dozed off on my hammock outside, and my wife had come out a couple times to wake me up to come inside. The third time she came out, she said, "You should really come inside. There's something down by the lake, and it sounds like whatever it is eating ducks." She said, "There's a lot of commotion. You should come in. And this is the last time I'm coming out here to wake you up." So she went inside and went to sleep. About an hour had passed since she came out, so I decided to go inside and go to sleep since I had to work the next morning. So I got up and decided I would have a cigarette before I went inside. By this time it's about 1 a.m. We had recently had some rain, so I decided I would walk by the lake and check to see if I could see any fish. I had a 300 lumen flashlight with me, so I shined it toward the shallow end of the lake, and there it was. This guy was every bit of 11 feet tall, dark brown, with a giant pointed head with huge black eyes. I could scale the height because he was standing between these two saplings about 11 feet high. He was standing there watching me sleep for how long, I don't know. I was so shocked, I turned off the flashlight and then turned it back on to see if I was going crazy. Nope. When I turned the light on, he had knelt down between these two trees, almost as shocked as I was, because he was fully exposed between these two trees. Still in shock, I turned the light off and back on again. When I turned it back on, he was standing again and had put his hands in front of his face to block the light. It was the biggest hand I've ever seen. We were about 15 yards from each other at this point. He then took his hand from his face and stood up as tall as he could, with his chin up, almost to say, "Get the light off me." The back door was about 30 yards away at this point, and something told me, do not turn my back to this thing. I usually carry a 9mm Beretta on me, except for that night. I remember reaching behind my back for it. I walked backwards up my whole yard to my sun deck, keeping the light on him as much as possible. It's crazy how the mind works, because I must have been in so much shock. I just laid down next to my wife and went to sleep. Isn't that crazy? The reactions are blow me away. It wasn't until 2 days later after work I was having a drink with my wife and it suddenly hit me. Guess what I saw? She then proceeded to tell me that she had seen the same thing, just not as clearly as I had seen it. Ever since that night, Steve, I have a whole different perspective. And I see signs of these things everywhere. It sucks so bad because now I'm too scared to take my son camping. And me and my family get scared inside every night after a certain time. They're all around here. And how nobody else sees them or signs is beyond me. I've received nothing but ridicule from friends, family, and neighbors. It sucks so bad, Steve. I sure hope we get all the answers we deserve. The rest of the people on this channel that have had encounters, I feel so bad. And I now truly know the world isn't what it seems. Steve, thank the good Lord above for you and the hard work you continue to do for everybody. God bless you and your family and stay safe. God bless your family and you stay safe too, my man. Imagine that, you guys. Imagine turning on the frickin' flashlight and that's what you get to see. And you can't share it because people laugh, right? I'm pretty sure we're making a big change in that department. Like I said, I shared that earlier. I think one time there was combined 10 million views in 1 month on this channel and the other channel combined. 10 million views. So I think we're making a difference. I think there's a lot of people out there that aren't laughing anymore, right? If they are, who gives a shit? Who cares? Let them be a laugher. It's all good. It's sad though. It's sad displays of how people don't trust people. Okay. Scared. Make sure you know what, you got somebody who you respect and you feel they are ridiculing you or might be a little comical or reacting to your story. Send them this video. Pick any video out of here and send it to them. Send it to them. Let them know there's tens of thousands of other people doing this, experiencing the same shit, and there's nothing they can do about it. They didn't ask for it. This is titled Scared Shitless. Hi Steve, I listen to you every day. Thank you for what you do. Having someone to share these wild experiences with is a blessing. I've written to you before beginning last October. Excuse me, but those experiences I shared were about orbs. Probably a little too long to try to read. Here are a few shorter ones. Read what you will. First, I have a new perspective on these orbs. About 2005, my kids came running in one night from our aviary screaming and crying about seeing a Bigfoot in the corner watching them. I discounted it and calmed them down and told them it was probably just a raccoon on top of the corner fence post. The aviary fence posts are only 4 feet tall with 4 large phone poles in the middle, over which was stretched a giant net. So I really didn't think it was possible. But the aviary is right next to where the orbs would travel past the farmstead. It never occurred to me that the two could be related until lately after hearing experiences shared on your channel of sawbays coming from orbs. Another night the girls got freaked out by some giant coyotes with yellow eyes outside their bedroom window. They slept with me that night, and the next day I moved the bunk bed away from the window and hung some heavy curtains. The window faces the aviary. Probably goes without saying, but we lost a lot of chickens from that aviary. Last month, July 2021, I was sitting outside on the patio on the east end of my house waiting for my husband to come home with the tractor. There is a valley to the south. The road is about a quarter mile east from the end of the house at the end of the long driveway. There are a couple of spots where I can see him coming, but there's a hill in the way for much of it, plus corn crop. As I sat there, I heard what sounded like an elk bugling. Not exceptional, except I live in southern Minnesota, very near the Iowa border. Haven't been elk here for a few hundred years. The sound came from the south where my husband should have been, crossing the bridge of the creek. Next I heard it to the north of me twice. It traveled more than half a mile in less than 10 seconds. That's like 300 miles per hour. I never saw it. My husband pulled in the driveway moments later. He never saw anything. There was nothing and no one on the road but him. If it had been on the road, he would have had a clear sight of it. The thing is, not only are elk not here, but the sound was so loud, it was like a freight train hitting the brakes 10 feet from me. I have no idea what the hell that was, but I was facing the aviary. Finally, My youth was filled with experiences. It didn't matter whether I was on horseback trying to move cattle, trees thrown at my canoe, chased on foot in a state park, or babysitting at neighbors. Weird shit happened. I seemed to attract it. When I was about 16, I was babysitting for the neighbors, Dale and Sherry. They didn't plan to come home until 1 a.m. It was a bad night. By the time I put the two kids to bed upstairs, I was a nervous wreck. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I looked out the windows, opened the doors, and peeked out. Never saw anything. Checked on the kids about every 15 minutes. Locked the doors and windows. Occasionally tried to sit down. A little gust of thermals there. Occasionally tried to sit down to watch some TV and couldn't. I just went around checking the house constantly. A little after 11 p.m. I heard the truck come up the gravel road, roar into the driveway, spitting gravel, and cut across the lawn to the back door. I met them and unlocked it. Sherry came in, grabbed a shotgun, and tossed it to Dale, who took off in the truck again. She said I was white as a ghost. I told her I don't know what's wrong. But something's been wrong all night. We waited, heard the shotgun, then heard it again. A few minutes later, Dale came in. I told him what the night had been like. He told me that as they came up the gravel road, they saw me sit down on the couch through the window and then stand up and walk away. But there was a silhouette of a head looking in the window behind me. And it was the biggest dog he had ever seen, all black with a white tipped tail. It took off to the north. When he caught up with it, he took a shot at it, and it turned around and ran at him. He fired again, and it turned around again and jumped the fence from the bottom of the ditch and disappeared in the dark. This is eastern Iowa, where the ditches are deep. That was a 12-foot jump. The window it was looking in, I couldn't touch the sill from the outside, so it was a minimum of 7 to 8 feet tall, standing on its hind legs. There have been lots of cattle and hog killings in the county, and the area men got real serious about shooting all strays after that. It took years for me to get over that, but one day when I was thinking about it, something put his hand on my soul and just took the fear away. I guess that's why I don't freak out when the orbs show up. Thanks for letting me dump these experiences somewhere that someone might get some knowledge from them. Bless your heart and Sarah's. Be safe, Kate. Bless yours too, Kate, and you be safe too. Dogman thing. And I'm guilty. I am guilty. I was guilty of brushing the dogman thing off every time I heard of it. It took me a while until I finally decided I didn't want to be dumb anymore. I was forced to accept the testimonies from all my fellow people. Right? Thousands of good, honest people experienced this dogman thing. They didn't ask for it, and they probably, every single one of them, felt so damned insecure about sharing what they saw, right? Who wouldn't? But somebody knows a lot, and it sure is quite apparent that there's something very significant going on when it comes to the unknown and the human beings, and why, how there's other human beings alive the same time I am, breathing the same oxygen I am, and somehow they got put in the position of being able to keep people shut up about it. Right? I flipped the frickin' bird to every one of those bastards. They're all just human beings like us, or are they, right? I have a tough time accepting that there are human beings alive today that somehow are in a position of being able to keep knowledge away from other humans. It's bullshit, it's not fair, it makes you want to puke. How do you get in that position, hey? How do you get in that position? Being alive the same time all we are alive, but all of a sudden you get to be part of some group of assholes who run around in suits and helicopters and SUVs, and you get to withhold information from the people. Why is that? Why is that? What makes you so special? Because I don't see you as special at all. If you're watching this channel, which I'm sure a few of you scumbags are. We'll find out, though. The people are going to find out. We're going to catch up. We're catching up. We're catching up. We're moving up ahead. But anyway, let's go take a look over the bank and see if that big bear is out there grazing on that old road yet. Then I'm going to move down the road and wait down the other end a little bit, I think. It's funny. Sometimes you see things in the woods that just don't make sense. A lot. It's no small tree. How come there's no other ones? It is what it is. Well, there we are. The end of another day. Got to be alive another day. Looks like it's gonna be gonna wake up alive again tomorrow. I wonder how many you got left. What are many of you guys? How many days you guys think you got left? What are you gonna do with them? I know what I'm gonna do with them. I'm gonna do a lot.